So I've had a theory.
All right. What's this theory?
Well, so it has to do with Steph Curry.
Okay.
Okay. And you kind of were the one who like put this into my brain for the first time watching you play. Was that because I remember when I was growing up watching Jordan, Dominique, those type of guys, Shaq.
Yeah.
I could never do that.
Yeah.
I always thought that Steph was the one who kind of changed the game for not only girls, but boys who can't play above the rim, right?
I
Do you buy into this?
I think the way he can shoot the ball is something that, people haven't seen in a really long time, but I also believe in like the evolution of basketball, and I think the game has changed so much, and I think he's a big part of that. But not only him, I think there's been a lot of other really good shooters on the men's and women's side. But he's definitely somebody I grew up watching and kind of like tailoring my game after. And, I always didn't shoot long-range threes. It was kind of something I added to my game after getting here. But, I think it kind of brings that excitement to the game. Like maybe you can't dunk the ball. You don't see Steph Curry dunking the ball every single night.
Yeah.
And you definitely don't see too many female players able to go up and throw one down. But I think it adds another level of excitement to the game, and maybe even more so than maybe a dunk would or an alley-oop or something like that. So I think the three-point shot is definitely, taking the game kind of to a new level.
Feels like it specifically with the women's game, though. If you watch a women's NCAA tournament game now compared to 10 years ago, it's just it's got that Steph Curry type of
I think
influence.
you could almost argue that there are a lot better female shooters than there are male shooters, just because, your skill set almost has to be better to be able to play the game of basketball. I've played with a lot of really good shooters from the state of Iowa. That's kind of what we're known for here. But yeah, I think, it's something that you kind of have to have in your game. I think it's evolved. I think, women's basketball players are very, very skilled just because they have to be. So it's something, I've kind of taken pride in ever since I was little, ball handling, form shooting. And I think it's kind of like led to, my evolution and into where I am now.
I would say it's more of a pure basketball game than the men's game because it's like free throws, for instance.
Yep.
You guys are just better at them. You have to be.
Yeah, no, I think so for sure. And I think, even my team here at Iowa, like we take a lot of pride in, making free throws. They're free. That's literally what they're called. So you better make them. And those are what you spend hours in the gym doing, making those. You put yourself in those situations of, the game's on the line. You're stepping up to the line. Who are you playing? Is the Big Ten championship on the line? Like what's on the line? So, I think that's a very good point. Girls really have to be kind of more skilled in a way than men are at times.
Okay, so you are known for pulling up from the logo.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not all, like,
Absolutely.
What advice would you give to not only a little girl watching this, but boys who are trying to, because you said you didn't just start when you were 10 pulling up from three-point range.
Yeah, I think the advice that I would always give to young girls or young boys even is just the importance of being able to handle the ball, being able to, make shots close around the rim. I remember my dad growing up, like he would never let me just go out to the three-point line and chuck up shots, even though that's kind of what I wanted to do. And I think that's kind of what a lot of kids want to do these days, is just go out there and chuck up threes. And I think, at times that can ruin your form. That can ruin your form shooting. So I was always wanting to start really close around the rim. And that's still what I do when I come in and get shots up. I'm right around the rim. Working on form shooting because, that's the basic part of shooting. You have to have good form to be able to make it from longer out. But I think that the two biggest things are, form shooting around the rim and definitely ball handling. I think ball handling is kind of a lost art. People don't want to be able to dribble the ball. And, it's something I took a lot of pride in when I was younger. And I think it's, kind of showed and paid off now that I'm a point guard.
Okay, so you've had, I saw there was a sign of a little girl who drove from New Hampshire or something to watch you play. We've seen you sign shoes. We've seen, was there a moment, we'll get to the Kevin Durant stuff and LeBron coming up, but was there a moment when a fan did something that just kind of left you speechless?
Oh man, I think there's been a lot of those instances. In our game just yesterday, a little girl started bawling when she met me, and it kind of takes you back for a second because I think, you don't always realize the impact that you can have on people. It goes way further than making a logo three or making a cool pass or even winning a basketball game. I think that's what's more important to me is the joy I can bring people and just hearing from what whether it's older people or younger people, about, how much excitement I've been able to give them when they're able to turn on the TV, or whether they're, coming and sitting in Carver-Hawkeye Arena, or even people traveling from really far to come watch us play, whether we're at Penn State, we're at Illinois, we're at Indiana, no matter where it is, people are traveling to come watch our team play. I think it kind of makes you take a step back and see kind of the impact you have on people in their lives. And I think that's, the coolest part, and that goes way further than ever winning a basketball game to me.
Okay, so you do have the best players in the history of basketball tweeting about you, posting about you on Instagram. We have statistics showing when you play, TV ratings soar. When did that kind of hit you for the first time that you've become this generational type player?
Yeah, I think it was kind of like hard to understand at first because, when I first got here it was COVID. So I played in front of nobody my freshman year, which was like really strange. But at the same time, I think it kind of allowed me to get my feet wet a little bit. I wasn't playing in front of a bunch of people screaming at me. I was used to the college scene when fans were allowed back in here. But yeah, I think, getting to play in front of that many fans is super, super cool. And I remember my sophomore year, especially like in the middle part of the year when we started attracting like quite a bit of fans. And then we ended up selling the last 3 games of the year out. I remember just running out of the tunnel when those games were sold out, and like I just had chills. Like it was kind of a surreal moment for me and my teammates. We all kind of just looked at each other like, wow, like people are really here to cheer us on and support us. And, this is kind of what we created, all because of doing what we love and doing it with like a passion and a joy. And I think that's really why people come watch us, is they can see the excitement we play the game with and the joy we have for one another. And that's really how the game should be played.
You mentioned the little girl crying and being starry-eyed with you. Who was that for a young Caitlin Clark back in the day?
So growing up, my favorite player was Maya Moore. She played at UConn, 4-time national champion, ends up going to the Minnesota Lynx, who was like the closest WNBA team to the state of Iowa. So I remember like very vividly, my dad took me to my first ever WNBA game, which was the Minnesota Lynx, and they had Maya Moore, and I actually got to meet her, which was like the coolest moment ever. And like I remember it so clearly. But she was like my favorite player growing up. But other than that, on the men's side, I'd go Harrison Barnes. Like I was a huge North Carolina men's basketball fan, and I remember, watching Harrison Barnes and Doug McDermott at the state tournament when I was a little kid. My dad took me and my older brother out of school, and we got to go and watch. And that's probably one of the best teams in high school basketball history with those two on it. So I was a huge Harrison Barnes fan, and it's kind of crazy because now, he watches me and has supported me and reached out quite a few times, and I actually got to see him play for the Kings last year versus the Clippers in LA. So life kind of comes full circle at you, but he was like my favorite player growing up on the men's side.
That's amazing. I would have never guessed the Ames High kid.
I know.
But yeah, that makes sense. So all right, you're going through all this, you come in, COVID, you hit the nation by storm. Give me a moment where maybe you had to say to a friend, when were you starstruck? When maybe somebody makes a tweet about you, somebody makes a comment.
I think the one I really remember is like when LeBron James put me on his Instagram story. Like it's LeBron James. Like you could argue he's one of the best players of all time, if not the best player of all time. And I remember I was like at dinner with my family. It was after we played here. I forget who we played, but I played pretty well. And he posted me on his Instagram story. I forget what he said, but yeah, a bunch of people were sending it to me. I'm like, guys, I've seen it. Thank you. But yeah, I think, LeBron James, like that's pretty cool. Somebody you grow up watching, and between him and Michael Jordan, the two best players to ever touch a basketball, and to have somebody like him, recognize your game and talk about you is pretty cool.
What does it mean for you to be able to do all of this in your home state?
It means a lot, and that's like one of the reasons I came here. And I dreamed of doing really, really big things, but maybe not to this level, and to play in front of 15,000. But I grew up a super, super competitive kid. Like I loved the moment. I love when the lights shine the brightest. I always grew up watching the game. I had cousins that played. My older brother played football at Iowa State. So just a super, super competitive family, and I loved being around sports. But I think as my career has kind of evolved here, it's been kind of crazy. And I think, just enjoying every single second of it. And I think the coolest part is seeing how many fans we get, whether it's here at Carver or whether we're going on the road. And I think we know that a lot of people do support teams, whether we're going to Illinois, whether we're going to Indiana, whether we're going to Michigan. But some of those crowds are, record-breaking attendance for them. And, there is a lot of black and gold in the stands when we go there, which is super, super cool to see. Not only the support at home, but on the road is maybe even a little sweeter. And it shows your impact, how it's going even beyond the state of Iowa.
So with all the accolades you get, there's also I don't want to say a target on you, but there's the spotlight.
Yeah.
And there's the narrative out there from your naysayers. You play the game with a great amount of passion. What do those naysayers not understand about Caitlin Clark?
I think the biggest thing is, I am passionate, I am competitive when I'm on the court, but off the court, I'm one of the goofiest, silliest people you'll probably ever meet. And I think my teammates would tell you the exact same. I'm able to have this switch of, I know when it needs to be serious and it's full throttle competitive, but when I'm off the court, I'm fun. I understand there's so much more to life than just a basketball game. And when you can understand that, I think it helps you play better on the court. But I think also is my passion and my competitive spirit, that's what makes me who I am. So I could never lose that. I don't think I could perform at the level I did if I didn't have all that. And that's how I've been since a very young age. And that's what I love about the game is, getting the crowd into it, being feisty. I think that's what makes me play to the level I play to every single night.
Is there a double standard? Because when a guy does that on the court, he's passionate, he's confident, he's got swagger. Do you sense that?
Yeah, and I think that's part of the evolution of the women's game that still needs to occur. I think, people need to start understanding that women can play with that same passion, that competitive spirit that men have played with for years. And that's what's attracting people to our game is when women are, fiery, when they're competitive, when they're feisty, when they're encouraging their teammates, That's what people want to watch. I think that's the reason we have 15,000 people come in Carver every single night is because not only am I passionate and competitive, but so is my team. And you can see the love and the joy that we play with. And that's so much more fun than watching people that are just straight-faced out there passing the ball around. You want to have that excitement to the game, and that's what's only going to, help the viewership go up even more and more, and that's exactly what we want to do.
I mean, I remember watching you in high school. This isn't just new.
No.
You've been doing this forever. Is this something, that passion that we're talking about, is that a legacy that you hope that you're passing on to young female basketball players?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope, young girls and even young boys understand that, you can play with that competitive spirit. Yeah, at times, sure, you need to contain it and know when to do it and when not to. But, you should be passionate. You should be competitive. You should be feisty. That's how the game of basketball should be played, or really even any other sport or whatever you're trying to do. I grew up playing softball. I grew up playing soccer, and I was the same way in all of those. I just had those competitive juices, and I come from a very competitive family where, I had to learn to kind of hold my own in a way. But yeah, I hope that is something that, especially young girls see, that you can play with that, that smile on your face, or whether you're getting mad, you can play with that too. I think that's, really good for them to see.
All right, so you say you're a goofball.
I am.
I've never seen this side of you. How are you a goofball?
Oh, man. I keep Coach Bluter young. I'm the one that keeps her young. Okay. I play pranks on her all the time. I mess with her. I know when not to and when to do that, but I think she would say the same. I'm just, a fun, easygoing kid. I still feel like, I don't know, people kind of see me as a celebrity or somebody, but I still feel like, just the normal kid that I have been for the past, 10 years, of my really important basketball career, through AAU, through high school, and now here. I feel like it's kind of just been the same, and I try to enjoy every single second of it because it does go so fast, but I think understanding that there is more to, winning a basketball game or hanging a banner, that's when you really start to enjoy it, when you enjoy all the other moments in between that.
What do you do outside of basketball?
Oh, well, during basketball season, I don't have a ton of time, but
yeah.
My favorite spring, summer activity is golf. I love to go play.
I'm sure you're not competitive at all.
No, I'm not competitive at all. I obviously just like to do it because it's fun, and why else would I do it? I just love to go out there. Yeah. If I have a bad hit, I don't care at all. But no, I'm super competitive, and honestly, we have a couple other girls on the team that like to play, a couple coaches that like to play, managers, so it gets competitive. It's usually not like us just all going out there and shooting our own score. It's 2v2, best ball. It's obviously going to be competitive in some way. So I would say that's like my favorite activity when I'm not in basketball season.
All right, your Netflix queues up. What are we watching?
Okay, so season 4 of You just came out.
Oh.
Outer Banks is about to come out, but also the new show about the PGA Tour is about to come out, where they were behind the scenes of the PGA Tour all of last year. So I'm super excited about that one on Netflix.
Outer Banks, isn't that like a
it's
romance?
It's a cheesy high school show basically, but that's kind of like what I like.
Yeah, we had Dawsons Creek. Did you ever hear that one?
I don't know
Yeah,
if I've ever seen that. But like my favorite show
myself.
of all time is One Tree Hill.
Oh, okay,
Did you
same
watch
thing.
that? Yeah, basketball. You got the love, romance, high school drama. I remember that was my favorite show.
Best basketball movie.
Oh, best basketball movie. That's tough. Oh, okay. Give me some options.
Love and Basketball would be out there.
Good. I don't know if I'd go number 1 though. I'm trying to think. Hoosiers, I probably wouldn't put number 1 either.
Well, it's Indiana. You can't.
Yeah, I know.
We can't do that.
Okay, this is gonna be such a hot take, but I loved Like Mike growing up.
That's a great movie.
Such a good movie. Like Mike, I had it downloaded to my iPad as a little kid, and I watched it on like every road trip. I never got sick of it. So.
And there's so many people listening and watching this that they didn't have iPads when they were a kid.
Well,
because
Like
we're
Mike.
old.
You might have had the DVD. I just had it on my iPad.
We had the Sony Discman. We had the Space Jam soundtrack.
Space Jam, that's a good one. Have you seen the new Space Jam?
I have.
The old one's better.
Yeah, I would agree.
MJ, it's
The
better,
new one was kind of creepy to me in many ways. Okay. Music.
Okay.
What are you bumping to when you're warming up?
Okay, this is probably gonna be surprising to a lot of people, but I go more like calm music when I'm like warming up because I'm already so like amped and juiced for the game that I don't need to keep adding to it. So I'm going more like calm music, like country music is usually what I pick. You know, it's not like super slow. It's not like I'm trying to go to sleep, but it's like, you know, you're not getting more amped than you already are.
Who's your favorite country artist?
Oh, Luke Combs. He's my favorite. I want to see him in concert so bad. He's so good.
Maybe somebody will tag him on this clip and you'll get to go.
Luke Combs, come on, help a girl out.
That's pretty good stuff. Okay, so you mentioned your family, competitive family growing up. Your brother is a Cyclone, and he scored on a 2-point conversion this year, and I tweeted that. I'm like, yeah, that's Caitlin Clark's brother, and like nobody really understood it.
Yeah.
What's that like when the Cyclones are playing and brothers on the team?
Yeah, I think, well, it was his last year this year. So the past 5 years since he was a redshirt, I think it was like more than anything super cool to watch him live out his dream of playing college athletics at the same time I was doing mine. And, you know, it's kind of funny the way it worked out because growing up, like we were never like diehard Cyclone family or diehard Iowa family. So it's kind of funny that, you know, we kind of split and both one went to one and one went to the other. And I have a younger brother too, and we would always kind of nag on our younger brother, like, come on, who do you like more? Like Iowa or Iowa State? And I have a feeling he low-key liked Iowa State more, but it's fine. I always try to get him to wear like Iowa clothes and stuff. But like I said, more than anything, it's just been super cool to, you know, watch Blake kind of live out his dream at the same time, even, you know, no matter if he was wearing, you know, Iowa State colors or even if it was somewhere else, I would have been, you know, just as happy and supportive. But, you know, he loved his time there, and Matt Campbell was really good for him, a really great guy. And through the recruiting process, because obviously he was already at Iowa State when I was trying to make my decision.
Yeah.
He was never like one to push me, you know, to go one way or the other. He's just, you know, make the best decision for you. And, you know, he's somebody I talk to still every single day. We're really, really close. And somebody I lean on a lot.
So he wears the Hawkeye gear when he comes in here?
No, he never does.
Oh,
no,
really?
He's never put on a Hawkeye shirt. I haven't put on an Iowa State shirt since, you know, we've been in college. But I try to joke with him now that he's, you know, graduated that you can do it. Maybe just one time, maybe on my senior night. We'll see if I can make it happen.
I would have guessed that he would wear a Hawkeye shirt into Carver watching you play.
He's usually like neutral colors, or he usually wears the orange WNBA sweatshirt. That's like that's like his go-to.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So I want to talk about just the women's game in general. We touched on this in the kind of the Steph Curry conversation, but I'm really passionate about women's basketball. I had an older sister growing up. I have 2 daughters. I did Iowa State games for years. I can just objectively tell you the game is so much better than it was 10 to 15 years ago. Why is that?
I think the AAU circuit certainly has helped. You know, I played for All Iowa Attack, a program that's, you know, probably in the top 5 every single year, and I think it helps produce really good players. But I think that's across the country. I think you've seen more and more AAU circuits that have become better and better. And I think the visibility of the WNBA, young girls getting to watch people in college, but also the WNBA and wanting to be like them, so then they, you know, put the time in to hopefully get there one day. But yeah, like I said, I think the evolution of the game also has helped. You know, more and more people want to play. People want to get better at it. They're driven to do it. But yeah, I think, you know, the evolution of the WNBA has definitely helped too. You know, it's on ESPN more. People have more accessibility to watch it, which certainly helps too.
So we're obviously here spotlighting you, but there's a ton of great players across women's college basketball. You can buy a ticket to go watch any other player in the country.
That's tough.
Who do you want to go watch?
Man, well, I would have said LSU, South Carolina, which happened yesterday. You got Angel Reese, one of the best players in the country, versus Leah Boston, and they're in the same position, so they're kind of going right at each other. I probably would have wanted to go to that game. Man, there's just been so many really good games this year. I think UConn, Tennessee, because just that rich tradition there of that rivalry game. I know UConn's battled quite a few injuries this year, but a lot of talented players on that team, and even Tennessee. And one of my former teammates from my freshman year is actually a GA at Tennessee now, so I have that connection too. So those are probably the two games I probably would have picked.
The Lady Vols uniforms are just iconic.
Yeah, they are. I love the baby blue they include in them now too. It's
perfect.
It's fire.
Is obviously a national championship would be the idea. What is your going into the month of March? What would make you really happy at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think, you know, first off is like Big Ten championship, regular season title is, you know, they're hard to come by, and you know, it basically comes down to the last game. We experienced that last year, you know, having to win out and beat Michigan on our home court. And then obviously the Big Ten tournament, my first 2 years, we've been in the championship, won one, lost one. So, you know, we want to be right back there, and it's moving to Minneapolis this year. And then obviously March Madness, I think, you know, we have that fire of getting upset early from last year. I think that'll really drive us. But I think March Madness is the greatest postseason tournament in all of sport, I think, because, you know, that you have that upset factor where you only have one shot to play this team. You know, it's not a 7-game series. You play them one time, and, you know, if you have an off night, your season can be over like this. And, you know, I've been on the losing end of that. So I think that upset factor of March Madness is what makes it so exciting and what people love about it. But, you know, we want to reach the Final Four. That's our goal. And, you know, we know it takes a little luck, a good draw, a lot of hard work, and but we're going to do everything we can to get there.
So you played at the girls' state here in the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
I think it's great. We have 4 really good women's programs in our state. Have you?
Absolutely.
What do you have to say just about the evolution of the game specifically here in Iowa?
And I think that speaks to, you know, the high school level that we have here. I think the girls' union in the state of Iowa does a really good job to, you know, put us on good stages, you know, kind of develop the talent. I think the AAU level has definitely gone up as well. I'm going to give credit to all Iowa Tech because that's who I played for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that, and, you know, I give a lot of credit to our coaches for scheduling, you know, Drake, you and I, Iowa State, because, you know, they don't really have to. But those are games that get the excitement of women's basketball in our state going and fired up. You know, when we played Iowa State here, I think we were over 14,000 people in December. You know, when football hasn't even finished yet, that's an incredible number. But, you know, Drake challenged us. You know, we won in overtime, you and I. You know, they've challenged us too. A really good team, a lot of girls I'm familiar playing against. But I think it speaks to the talent level we have in the state. And, you know, if you haven't watched any team other than Iowa women's basketball, you should also watch those 3 because they're really skilled, really talented teams. And, you know, I love getting to play against them every single year.
What does adding a shot clock do for high school basketball?
You know, I wish we had a shot clock, even though that wasn't a problem because I was on the team. I would get them up pretty quick. Yeah. But I think it's been really good, especially on the boys and girls side. You know, teams can't really stall anymore. I think it's 35 seconds, which is still quite a bit of time. But I think it's been good. I think it's been good for kids to understand end of game situations, end of quarter situations, you know, getting 2-for-1s, things like that. But yeah, I think it was something that had needed to be done for quite some time. So I'm really happy that they made that change.
All right, so we've seen you pull up into the shot clock from the logo. Before we're sitting on this court here, could you give me a few tips?
I got
cool?
you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll give you a few lessons.
All right, perfect. Let's try it out.
The key.
Luckily, Iowa, we have a huge, gigantic tiger hawk.
You do have a huge logo.
It makes the from the logo a lot closer.
Okay.
But other schools, like, it's back there a little bit. But
yeah,
honestly, like, I like to dribble into it and shoot it. I'm more of an off the dribble shooter, but.
You like coming off the screen?
Yeah. I like, in transition's my favorite.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I get the rebound, I'm pulling up, you know.
Okay.
But, you know,
All right.
here.
I'm gonna shoot one.
I'm not warmed up, so this could be an air ball.
I'm gonna do one and you coach me up here real
quick,
okay?
Let's see it.
All right, let's see what happens.
Oh, you're right on.
I'm right on, I'm dead
right
on. What about my form? Is my form okay?
Hey, you got the follow through.
Yeah.
Maybe just jump a little more, because we're a little short.
Okay.
We're a little short.
All right, I'm gonna do the little spin.
Oh yeah. That's in.
Oh! I'm right there.
Here, all right, let's go.
All right. I like it off the spin.
I'm feeling good.
All right. Nope. Let me give you the assist.
Okay, here.
All right.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, knock it down. I'm feeling good. That's in.
Oh!
I can make it on my first
I'm 0
try.
for 6 now.
First try.
Well done.
Let's go.